Okay, for number 12, we just finished number 11. We're going to do number 12. Over the summer, Steve earned $380 by mowing lawns and $80 by tutoring. He wants to take an adventure vacation that costs $45 per night. What are the possible number of nights Steve can sign up for if he spends only the money he earned over the summer? So the first thing we need to do is define our variable. I'm going to say X is the possible number of nights Steve can stay. The possible number of nights Steve can stay. As soon as I defined my variable and I saw that it was the possible number of nights, I know that I can have no fractions and no decimals in my answer because you can't say part of a night. Because we're talking about money, he can spend only the money he earned. So what he spends has to be less than or equal to what he earns. So let's look. What is he spending? He's spending $45 a night. So it'd be 45x. Has to be less than or equal to what did he earn? He earned $380 by mowing lawns plus another $80 for tutoring. So first I did 380 plus 80 is 45x is less than or equal to 460. Divide both sides by 45 and you get x is less than or equal to 10.22 nights. However, we already said we cannot have decimals. He does not have enough money for 11 nights. So the answer would be he could stay 0 nights. He could stay 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10 nights. The only answer would be an itemized list like that. For number 13, well, the first thing I noticed is I didn't like that that had that fraction of 1/2. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 2 because that's my least common multiple. My 2's cancel, and I'm left with 1 is greater than -1 plus 5n. Oh, now it's a lot easier. Add 1 to both sides. I'm going to put it over here, and you get 2 is greater than 5n. So 2 is greater than 5n. Divide both sides by 5, and you get 2/5 is greater than n, which means n is less than 2/5. I want your answer as a fraction. It started with fractions, so it must end with fractions. It needs to be a fraction. All right, number 14. So number 14, -30 is greater than or equal to -4a plus 18 minus 2 times the quantity 2 cubed minus a. We have a lot of simplification on the right-hand side. So I drew my line to help myself out. I first did 2 cubed, because remember you're doing PEMDAS when you're simplifying. So you want to do inside first. So -30 is greater than or equal to -4a plus 18 minus 2 times the quantity 2 cubed is 8 minus a. Oh, well now we can distribute. This is a -2 that you're distributing. So you still have your -30, -4a, plus 18, -2 times 8 is -16, -2 times, be careful, a -a is a positive 2a. Then let's combine like terms, looking at your signs to the left. -4a plus 2a is -2a. Positive 18 minus 16 is -2. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides. -30 plus 2. I'm sorry, this is a positive 2. So I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. I hope you caught that too. To get -32 is greater than or equal to -2a. Now divide by negative, but remember when you divide by a negative, it flips. So you get 16 is less than or equal to a. A negative divided by a negative, which means then that a is greater than or equal to positive 16. Number 15, the average of Cindy's 3 test scores. So as soon as I read that, I thought that means that her first test plus her second test plus her third test all divided by 3. That's how I find average. Must be greater than 70 for her to pass. So it has to be greater than 70. She scored the same score on the first and second test, and a 76 on the last test. She passed the class. What scores could she have gotten on the first 2 tests? So I said X equals the first 2 test scores. We know that the third is a 76. So I'm just going to fill in my inequality. X plus 76, all divided by 3, is greater than 70. So let's simplify. X plus x is 2x plus 76 divided by 3 is greater than 70. Remember, if what you're looking for is in the upstairs, you should go through the downstairs. Since it was all divided by 3, multiply both sides by 3. So that those 3's cancel, and you're left with 2x plus 76 is greater than 210. Subtract 76 from both sides to get 2x is greater than 134. Divide by 2, and get x is greater than 67. So your answer would be she must score greater, it's important, you have to say the words greater than, a 67% on both tests. You have to have those words greater than, and you need to put that percent. And you can have a 0.5%, so you don't need a list. Okay, number 16. We have some simplification to do on both sides. So on the left-hand side, I did my distribution. 2 times negative x is negative 2x plus 14 is less than negative 3x plus x is negative 2x plus 8. I needed to get my x's on the same side, so I added 2x. Negative 2x plus x is 0. You can write 0 plus 14 to help you out. Is less than 0, 0 plus 8. So you have 0 plus 14. 14 is less than 8. Is this true? No, this is false. So because this is false, there are no solutions. Remember, if it was true, it would be all real numbers. Number 17, all of these fractions, I want to get rid of them. So I said, what's my least common multiple of 8, 16, and 6? My least common multiple equals 48. So multiply everything by 48. So I put times 48, times 48, and times 48. Remember, you divide by the denominator. 48 divided by 8. 48 divided by 8. And then you get 48 divided by 8 is 6. 6 times 7 is 42. Is less than 48 divided by 16 is 3. 15 times 3 is 45. 48 divided by 6 is 8, so minus 8x. Now it's a lot easier. It's a positive 45, so subtract 45 from both sides. 42 minus 45 is negative 3, is less than negative 8x. Divide both sides by negative 8, and you have a fraction here. First flip. So it becomes positive 3/8 is greater than x, which means that x is less than 3/8. You have to remember to flip this right here. Okay, number 18. Lori rented a booth at a craft fair for $200 to sell baskets that she made. The cost of materials for each basket was $8. If she sells the baskets for $20, how many does she have to sell to make a profit? Well, here, what we're looking for, x, is going to be the number of baskets to make a profit. Again, it's the number of baskets, so you can have no fractions in your answer. When you're making a profit, to make a profit, your sales must be greater than your costs. So now let's just fill in. Her sales, she's selling them for $20 each. So $20 per basket has to be greater than her costs. Well, she had to rent the booth for $200, so that's a cost. But then the cost of the materials were $8 for each basket. So plus $8 times the number of baskets. So subtract 8x from both sides, and you get 12x is greater than 200. Divide by 12, and you get x is greater than 16.67. Your answer, however, we already said needs to be just whole numbers. So what are the total number of baskets? Well, her total number of baskets, she can't have 16, so she must sell at least, you need those words, at least 17 baskets. When you say the words at least, that means 17, 18, 19, so on and so forth. So this right here has to be your answer. You can't just say she needs to sell 17 baskets. Number 19, compound inequality. Remember, do it to all three sides. I'm looking for n, so I'm going to subtract 20 from both sides, or all three sides. 2 minus 20 is negative 18, is less than negative 2n, is less than or equal to negative 16. Now, when you divide everything by negative 2, that means that every sign must flip. So you would have 9 is greater than, that flipped, n is greater than or equal to 8. But you always want to write from least to greatest. Write from least to greatest. So I'm going to write it as 8 is less than or equal to n, which is less than 9. So your graph, I'm going to go 7, 8, 9. You have a closed dot on 8, a closed dot on 9, and it should be everything in between.